One day, he was everywhere, the fast-talking puppet cousin who had us glued to our screens. The next, he vanished without a trace. No goodbye episode, no press release, just silence. What really happened to Cousin Skeeter? Whispers of sabotage, industry politics, and hidden agendas swirl behind the scenes. Today, we dig into the secrets Nickelodeon never wanted you to know, and why this puppet's disappearance still doesn't sit right. What if I told you that one of Nickelodeon's most beloved shows from the late 90s vanished overnight, leaving behind a trail of secrets, drama, and unanswered questions that would shock you to your core? Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious disappearance of Cousin Skeeter. And trust me, the truth behind what really happened will blow your mind. Picture this. It's 1998. You're sitting in front of your TV after school, and suddenly, this wild show comes on featuring a regular kid named Bobby and his absolutely insane puppet cousin Skeeter. But here's the thing that made this show absolutely genius. Everyone in the show treated Skeeter like he was a real person. No one ever questioned why this cousin was clearly a puppet. It was surreal, it was hilarious, and it was unlike anything we'd ever seen before. But what you didn't know is that behind those laughs and wild adventures, there was a storm brewing that would eventually destroy everything. The show that lit up Nickelodeon from 1998 to 2002 and made stars out of Robert. Richard, Bill Bellamy, and even a young Megan Good suddenly disappeared without explanation. No farewell episode, no goodbye, just gone. So what really happened? The first clue lies in something that might surprise you, Money. You see, maintaining Skeeter wasn't like having a regular actor on set. This puppet required an entire team of specialists, custom sets, and equipment that was bleeding Nickelodeon dry. Sources close to the production revealed that by season 3, the budget had spiraled so far out of control that they were literally holding Skeeter together with duct tape. But here's where it gets really interesting. While the cast was struggling with these production nightmares, Bill Bellamy, the voice behind Skeeter's incredible swagger, was becoming a massive star. His comedy career was exploding, and naturally, he wanted to be paid what he was worth. Can you blame him? His voice was literally half the reason Skeeter was so memorable. But when Bellamy allegedly demanded a bigger paycheck, Nickelodeon reportedly balked at the price tag. Now, you might think that's where the story ends, but hold on tight because we're just getting started. There's another theory that's even more intriguing, and it has to do with Nickelodeon's entire strategy shift. By the early 2000s, the network was going all in on animated content. Shows like SpongeBob SquarePants and The Fairly Odd Parents were pulling massive audiences for a fraction of what it cost to produce Cousin Skeeter. Why invest in an expensive puppet show when cartoons could deliver the same ratings at a much lower cost? But here's the bombshell that nobody talks about. Some industry insiders believe Cousin Skeeter was canceled because it was too progressive for its time. Yes, you heard that right. This seemingly innocent kids show was actually tackling serious issues like racial representation, police interactions with Black youth, and complex family dynamics that made network executives nervous. The show featured one of the few predominantly Black casts on Nickelodeon, and some episodes dealt with topics that were considered risky for traditional children's programming. Speaking of controversy, the critics were absolutely brutal. A Hollywood reporter-writer slammed the show, calling the characters underdeveloped and saying it relied too heavily on one-liners. But the harshest criticism came from Variety's Ray Richmond, who called Cousin Skeeter borderline offensive and described it as Nickelodeon's version of Black culture stuck in the Stone Age. Imagine being part of that cast and reading those reviews. Yet here's the plot twist. While some critics were tearing the show apart, others were praising it as groundbreaking. Rotten Tomatoes actually named it one of the most important 90s kids shows for paving the way for Black representation on television. They specifically highlighted episodes like The Bicycle Thief, which dealt with police interactions with Black children, a topic that was incredibly bold for a kids' show in that era. But the drama wasn't just happening in the reviews. Behind the scenes, things were getting intense in ways you wouldn't expect. Megan Good, who played Nina, revealed in a shocking interview that she was actually jumped by a group of girls while filming the show. Can you imagine dealing with that kind of violence while trying to film a children's comedy series? But Good didn't back down. She fought back and proved she was tougher than any drama surrounding her. The creative direction was also causing problems. Writers seemed to be pulling the show in different directions, leaving both viewers and critics confused about where the story was actually heading. Some cast members felt the show was losing its original magic, which created tension that you could probably feel on set. Then came the crossover episodes with other Nickelodeon hits like Keenan and Kel, and fans were completely divided. Some loved seeing their favorite characters interact, but others felt these crossovers were cheap gimmicks that diluted what made Skeeter special in the first place. Now here's what's absolutely fascinating despite all this controversy and behind. The scene's chaos. Look what happened to the cast after the show ended. Bill Bellamy kept everyone laughing with roles in shows like Insecure and built a net worth of $6 million. Robert Richard, who played Bobby, became a series regular on One and appeared in Coach Carter, accumulating a net worth of $400,000. But the real success story, Meagan Good absolutely exploded into stardom. She went on to star in major films like Think Like a Man, Deliver Us from Evil, You Got Served, and Shazam, building a net worth of $5 million. Rondell Sheridan became everyone's favorite TV dad as Victor Baxter on That's So Raven, while Angela Means found her calling as a vegan chef and humanitarian with a net worth around $300,000. So, if Cousin Skeeter was supposed to be such a career killer, why did everyone involved go on to find incredible success? That's the real mystery here. After all the budget issues, the creative differences, the controversial reviews, and the rumored network politics, Cousin Skeeter simply vanished. No explanation, no farewell, no closure for the fans who had fallen in love with this bizarre but beautiful show. At the time, none of the cast members spoke publicly about why the show ended. That was just how Nickelodeon operated in the 90s. Shows disappeared without fanfare, leaving fans to speculate and create their own theories. But here's what we've learned over 20 years later. It usually wasn't dramatic behind-the-scenes feuds or scandals that killed these shows. It was cold, calculated business decisions. Networks would switch up their programming or cut shows simply to chase new trends and younger demographics. The entertainment industry has always been ruthless, but somehow it stings more when it happens to a show that felt like family. The truth is, Cousin Skeeter was ahead of its time in ways that both helped and hurt it. It featured diverse representation. When that wasn't common, tackled serious social issues when kids' shows typically avoided them, and created a unique viewing experience that nobody else was attempting. But being ahead of your time in entertainment often means you don't get the support you need to survive. So was Cousin Skeeter a victim of budget constraints, network politics, critical backlash, or simply bad timing? The answer is probably all of the above. This show existed at the intersection of multiple industry pressures that ultimately became too much to overcome. But here's what's undeniable over 20 years later. We're still talking about Cousin Skeeter. We're still wondering what could have been, still remembering those wild episodes, and still appreciating how this strange little puppet show managed to tackle big issues while making us laugh. That's not the legacy of a failed show. That's the mark of something truly special that was taken away too soon. The real tragedy isn't that Cousin Skeeter ended, it's that we never got to see how far it could have gone with just a little more support, a little more understanding, and a little more faith from the network that created it. In a world where representation and authentic storytelling are finally being recognized as essential, Cousin Skeeter was doing that work decades before it became trendy. So the next time someone asks you about the greatest mysteries in television history, don't forget to mention the puppet who disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a legacy that's still influencing how we think about representation, comedy, and the power of taking creative risks. Cousin Skeeter may be gone, but his impact on television and the careers he launched will never be forgotten.